Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. And there's another award that we're going to be receiving. So if people want me to share it, I will share at the end of the conversation because I don't like doing it while my friends are on. It's their spotlight, not me. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. I'm a certified empowerment coach and president and CEO of Express Your Vibe Coaching and Communications, and backed by popular demand. Serena and Tara are back. They caused so much ruckus the first time that they were on. We had to have them back, and they have so much more to add to their journey. And we got to talk about Ovarian Cancer Month that passed by, how that went, and other things going on in their lives. So welcome back, Serena and Tara. What's going on, ladies?
Hi. Hey, Dr. Vibe. Hey, Tara.
Good to see you.
And the producer of all this, we just call him the little man. The man who hijacks Skype apps on someone's... Yes, on someone's tablet, who almost didn't make this conversation happen. Not nice. But ladies, it is a joy to have you back. What's been going on since we last chatted with you back in September?
Wow. You want to go first, Tara?
You can go first.
Okay. Well, first, thank you for having us back. It's a pleasure. And I can't believe it's November 1st. That's mind-boggling to me. It's already November. I know September. I know between me and Tara, we hit up a few Break the Silence races in different states. I know she took over Philadelphia up there in Pennsylvania, and I did one out here in Central Maryland in Annapolis, and we're talking rain. It was a rainy month, but the races went on. There were a couple that had to be postponed till October, but it was really great. The one I went to in Central Maryland, I met so many survivors, so many families. I was able to sell my book and meet other caregivers, and just the love. It's just a huge love fest. It's just amazing to be around so many women who have beaten this cancer, and some who are still in treatment, and they were out there doing this 5K race. So I have no excuse. I have to walk next year, okay? Because there were women who were going through chemo, and they were out there, doing the race. So it was a great time. I also did the Baltimore Book Festival as well in September, and just spread awareness about ovarian cancer and GYN cancers, and just people you meet just at festivals, and just making people aware and people who've gone through it. So September was a really busy month, and it went all the way into October because, as I stated, some of the races were postponed into October. And I know Austin, Texas chapter of Ovarian Cancer, National Ovarian Cancer Coalition, had their race in October. And a couple of sisters, Archette and Sheila Edwards, were out there raising money for their organization and promoting my book and telling people about my book and what made me write it as a caregiver. So we've been pretty busy.
Well, and I feel bad. I feel I should get up and actually get your book since you did send it to me. Are you gonna order me to do that, or do it's just like?
Is it close by?
About 30 seconds close by. I don't know if you want me to go get it. I can.
Sure.
Okay, Tara, you catch us up on what's going on while I carry out my order.
Okay. That's so awesome. That's so fantastic. I love it. I had a birthday in September, which was super exciting. I was lucky to get to 1 year cancer-free, being on Zejula, which is a PARP inhibitor I had started last year at my last chemotherapy that finished off the spleen cancer episode. So that was exciting. I did do the walk in Philadelphia. I had some side effects that were going on, so I was in a walker and in the pouring, teeming rain, and I still had 8 of my friends that braved the weather with me and held my hand and grabbed my arms and put on some rain gear, and we did it. And I cried my eyes out, which is great. I think "Crying in the Rain" is a song from Whitesnake I can remember, and it was apt because it was very powerful to be surrounded by so many women that had, advanced just like me, and we're there and we're walking and we were holding hands together and we did a group picture, which is fantastic. And I'm just so excited to be part of that group. Share Charette is another group that I belong to, and they in New York City had an event in September called Cook, and it was a fundraiser for ovarian cancer, and I was able to photograph it, which was fantastic. So chefs like Alex were there. There were a number of really fantastic New York City women chefs that were represented, all with different dishes. And they just had an amazing event that night. So I was able to go there. And then I went off to Atlanta to Cancer Treatment Centers and got re-diagnosed with pelvic cancer. So I kind of figured it was happening because my numbers were numbers.
Okay, excuse me, Tara. Your audio is fading out. Like it was, like in fact, right now. Okay, hold on. Can't hear you at all now. Whoa.
Right. There you go.
Better?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's all right.
Part of you going to Atlanta?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I went to Atlanta, and give me a second. I'm just trying to readjust my stuff. Here we go. Okay. I was able to go to Atlanta where I got re-diagnosed with pelvic cancer. So it's an interesting moment. I did have the cancer antigen CA125 number had gone up, and I was figuring something was happening because I wasn't feeling 100%. And I transferred care for now to Philadelphia's Cancer Treatment Center, where I started chemotherapy again. So I'm back in the journey. I should be treating until about February, and then we will see what comes next. There's lots of different things that went through my brain around that, and I did talk to a couple of different places around clinical trials, of which I'm thankful there are a number of them. But yeah. I'm doing traditional chemo again, of course, with lots of good, ancillary things, diet for sure, with nutrition and homeopathy and acupuncture and chiropractic. Pelvic floor physical therapy is something different now that I have a pelvic tumor, and that's been helpful. Lots of things. So,
if you're ever looking for someone who has expertise in that, I have a member of my community in England who specializes in that pelvic floor therapy.
Love that.
Okay.
I'm lacking my blessings at all. I am open to everything. Okay. So thank you.
I will make sure of a point that we get on a connection call
Good.
or a community call with you and her, and we'll make sure I mention that.
Thank you.
Tara, I really want to know how you're really doing, because when you heard that news again.
Yeah. I like I said, I don't think that I was really shocked, because I knew that the numbers have been going back up again. And I think that I've been doing a lot of different things this time around, because it seems really spiritually based. It seems really emotionally different. And it's taken different people on my care management team and different tools this time around to really settle into non-permanence and to settle into a place of healing and being open, and managing symptoms and expectations and life differently. This is my third recurrence, so it looks completely different again. So
wow. Yeah. Like just shout out, there are some people watching live. Thank you so much for watching live, or watching the replay. And if you have any questions or comments for the ladies, please type them in. For both of you, was this the first time you were involved in the Ovarian Cancer Month, or had you been involved previously with celebrations events around this month?
I know I've been involved ever since my mom passed. She passed in 2010. Of course, I took a break. It wasn't like I was jumping right in there. I had to grieve and heal and take care of affairs because I was her health proxy and everything else. But in May of 2012, I actually ran in the Break the Silence race out here for the DC metro area. And that's when I had my son. He wasn't even 1 yet. So I had a running stroller, and we went out there and we did 3.1 miles together and just shared my story with people, just to be amongst the survivors. And then they always have at these races, they have a tent or a corner for those who have lost their lives. So you can either light a candle, you could write a positive quote, you meet other families or caregivers that lost their loved ones. But yeah, it's been since 2012 I've been involved and just got more heavily involved through my book. But just volunteering and just being amongst survivors and just like I said, loving on each other. They've been through surviving this cancer like Tara. I've been through it on the opposite end where I was a caregiver, to my mom and losing her, But yeah, it's been several years now.
Okay. Tara, was this the first time you had celebrated during September, or?
Yeah. So I was originally diagnosed in September of 2015, and I was so sick that first year, and on through the next year. It wasn't a community that I really embraced. I think I had a pretty singular experience just with my partner at the time and my family. And I wasn't really open to community the way that I sort of transitioned to being. So although I've been volunteering with the Cancer Fighters program and speaking to women with late stage ovarian and one-on-one, actually the power of group and that is definitely something that's new to me. In fact, I met Serena at the National Ovarian Cancer Convention in New York City just earlier this year, and that was actually by invitation with Cancer Treatment Centers. They had sent me there, and it was the first event that I had been surrounded by people that are pretty much like me, similar stories and treatments and experiences, and caregivers that are so unbelievably selfless and generous and helpful. And it's really amazing once you start having conversations and realize you're not alone. And I know that's like a hashtag these days, but it's true, and there's beauty in that.
Okay.
Definitely.
So let me ask then, from Serena, your perspective, being an a veteran, and I'm saying this complimentary of September celebrations, and Tara, for the first time, how was it? So I want to contrast what sort of energy were you both feeling at the events? And for Serena, was it different than past Septembers?
Well, it was different. Well, I know there was a timeout I had to take for a long while because of my own health battle with Lyme disease. So I wasn't going anywhere for a little while. But this September, even compared to last September, because last September is when my book, Crying Tears of Teal, was released, but it wasn't released until late September. So this was the first September where I had the full month to go out there. We started promoting it back in like the spring when I went to the convention with Tara, and that's where I got invited to so many races and events from chapters I had met through National Ovarian Cancer Coalition and a couple of other groups like Share Cancer Support and other groups like that. So it was really great to do something every week. This was not the first time, this is the second year where almost every day I posted a fact on my Facebook page and on my Facebook fan page and Twitter about ovarian cancer, about GYN cancers, and whether you have the cancer, had it, or just being a caregiver. And also I did personal stories, I did videos, I shared videos of friends who beaten this cancer. So we went all in the paint. We went hard in the paint this year.
Yes. Yeah, yes.
In previous years. It did feel a lot different.
And for Tara, what was your experience doing for the first time in September celebrating Ovarian Cancer Month?
I was really tearful for most of the month, just to be surrounded by people, and I learned so much, really just from other women's experience, other caregivers' experience. There was a day after the walk, there was a get-together with survivors. That was like a pampering day, and just the camaraderie that happened between women that had been on Avastin, or, that had been on Doxil, or talked about their experience with Taxotere and Taxol, or I found out about pelvic floor rehab and PT, which is something I had never heard about and was really like blown away. They talked about your core, being not just your abs and your low back, which is what I thought, but also including your diaphragm and your pelvic floor. And with multiple surgeries, like, it was unbelievable to think there's something I could do that would actually help, that part of my body and my core strength. So I've embraced that and just really run with it, and talk to others about it too, because it's not something that I want to keep for myself,
Yeah.
Exactly not. What were there any stories that you heard during September that you really inspired and you've kept in your mind today, up until today? Any unique people that you met?
Oh, yeah. You always meet unique people at these races, and from all over. People will travel to come to these races. I was actually, because I was vending my book, so it was actually a whole family next to me, and I met the mom, and she had lost her daughter. Not too long ago, maybe a couple of years ago, to ovarian cancer. Her daughter was maybe latter 40s. She wasn't an old woman. This was her second reoccurrence. The first time she beat it, it went away, and then, Tara said she wasn't feeling too well, and it came back full strength. And she has, I believe, 4 children, 3 or 4 children, and the whole family was at this race. So the mother, the father, cousins, the children, the sister. So the sister started an organization. It's called Steph Ripple, and the sister's name is Stephanie. That's the one that passed away. And the reason why it's called Steph Ripple is because she had such a ripple effect on people positively. So when she passed, they named this organization the Steph Ripple, and they're really out there advocating and raising awareness despite this, very heavy and huge loss, especially being so young. And her husband was there. I mean, everybody was there. And those are the type of people you meet. You just don't know. You could be standing right next to them, and their stories are just so powerful. And, as the mom was talking to me, she said, I never thought I would outlive my daughter. That's what she told me. And her kids were, in the range of, they were small through their teens. So her kids were pretty young when they lost their mom. But the fact that they just really got closer as a family and pulled together, now they're out there every September raising awareness. They have their own race. If you go on their website, they have their own race now that they do to raise money for research and to help other cancer patients. But those are the kinds of folks you meet. You just meet so many different people. Wow.
Yeah. I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff. You ladies don't stop. What are you doing in your downtime?
What's downtime?
Oh, okay.
You have some good news coming up for yourself, so talk about that.
No, that's at the end. That's at the end.
Okay. All right.
It's not now. Have there been any new developments in regards to ovarian cancer that you've heard about, or anything on the horizon that either of you have heard about since we last chatted?
So I can definitely talk to the fact that I've been working with the Clarity Foundation, who has such a robust website, and we sort of did this review of information, and it was literally, I probably spent 5 hours with them just pooling over all of the upcoming things that are happening, specifically with trials and medications, and they're are so many things that are happening. They are developing these vaccines that are in trial now, some of them phase 2, that directly address, when people have genetic testing, so they can specify, directly what's happening with their genes, and they can isolate things. I know a lot of people have had conversations around all these new commercials they see on TV, and sadly, not a lot of them are ready yet for ovarian cancer. But I can definitely tell you it's an exciting moment, and I'm glad that I can at least contribute with what's been happening with me and have the ability to kind of weed through some of it. That besides the regular Taxol and Taxotere, there's this Gemsar, that I'm on Doxil, and that's all very, time-tested, proven kind of stuff. But there's a lot of on the fringe kind of ideas that are being manifested and like all these really good things. So yeah. And one thing I can definitely say is it's confusing languaging around the specifics of your tumor. And that's been something I've been trying to get better around clearing up. I know for myself, and really stressing when I do speak with women as like make sure that you talk to your doctor, because it matters if it's, high grade serous, or, if it is clear cell or endometrioid, or there's like all of these different things around it. And that helps you navigate on clinicaltrials.gov site if you're interested in doing stuff like that. But it takes a strong person to be able to ask for help in that with either, her family or her friend groups, to just try and navigate languaging. And that's important moving forward, I think, with all the new things that are coming out.
Okay. Anything you wanted to add to that, Divine?
Well, I know it's not really, well, for some people, as I talked to them about it, they never heard of it before. And I mentioned it in our last conversation. They have commercials and ads, the color folks, I call them, the color.com. And I went through the Magenta Study, which is out of MD Anderson's Cancer Center in Texas. So my genetic testing was completely covered underneath this study. So you have to be in a certain age bracket. And like me, since I lost my mom to cancer, they considered me high risk. And because usually genetic testing is really expensive. It's really not it's not a joke how much it costs. But now they're making more ways for it to be more affordable. So I know since we last talked, I got my results back. You're waiting on like the edge of your seat, like, am I going to have a gene mutation? And what they do is with these studies, I know in my case, they tested 19 genes, and that's just a small sample of how many genes you have in your body. But the main ones that correlate with ovarian cancer and breast cancer, especially the BRCA1 and 2, were tested. And when you click that link and it says no gene mutations, I was bawling in tears. I just get a little emotional. It doesn't mean I'm, in the, free. I can, knock on wood, I hope I never get cancer, but that's a major step when you have no gene mutations. Yeah. And the fact I didn't have to pay for it. So I'm trying to spread the word to other women who need this testing done but can't afford it, that there is a way. If they just Google Magenta Study or Color or MD Anderson Cancer Center and get it started. And it might take some time because it's free. So you're not going to get results right away, but you will get your results. So that's something for people to know.
What am I thinking here? There's so much I want to ask you ladies. So Tara, yeah. With what's a daily routine for you right now?
So I've been volunteering. I go to cancer treatment centers twice a week. So I would say, to try to navigate my way there. I take probably 17 vitamins a day. So
How
it's a pretty hefty 17.
Wow.
So it's a pretty hefty vitamin regimen. And, I am really intentional around the food that I eat. No sugar for sure. And I've been having some crazy mouth sores and stuff. So I've been watching, some different foods, especially like, anything with citrus or vinegar based or like tomatoes and stuff like that. But I make my food, so I make a good breakfast. If I head down to cancer treatment centers, I might do some PT. And then I volunteer making earrings, with people in treatment. And then, I work out for sure, probably 3 to 4 times a week, just trying to do some activity to get it going through my body. I might volunteer making some phone calls. I do art. I keep myself super busy. I cook and I help out people that need healthy food. So either they've been coming to get it or, I have people that come pick up stuff for them. So, I try to make a difference that way. I've been sleeping a lot since I've been in treatment, and that's very different for me. I am normally like a robot, just keep it moving, and I've been tired. And so I've been trying really to honor my body that way. I have a group of women that are amazing that I pray with. So I think that's a daily part is meditation and prayer. I find that baths have been really relaxing for my body because my joints have been hurting, but I think self-care has been more important because it's just me, and I do have my mom that's been helping and obviously friends and people that have been coming forward and cooking food for me and sitting with me. And but I do an awful lot of give back when I'm able, and I know that that's really beneficial also for like the soul stuff. So, and I've been able to take a class at the Barnes Foundation again. I got a scholarship, so I've been doing art class, and it's actually called The Body this time around in contemporary art, which has been awesome because it really is creating a level playing field of me visually being able to see how the body's presented in current day and just kind of get a better grasp of like my body. And I've been doing actual art with my body, which has been a first time. I haven't ever wanted to explore that, but it's been really helping me get in tune with like my scars and seeing them as a blessing because I'm still here, and just playing with the fact that like everybody doesn't look like me, but there are some women that do, and trying to embrace that. So yeah, it's a good life,
Okay, it's a good life. Okay, you know what? I received that, but I want you to keep me in touch when you start taking less vitamins.
Well, this is one of the reasons why I didn't choose to do a clinical trial this time. There were 2 that were actually tailored that I could have done. And I think the deciphering factor for me were that I would go to a different hospital and I would be needing to only do medical treatment because of the efficacy. They couldn't trace if it was helpful without the presence of anything else. So when I listed all the side effects that I experienced on a daily and told them what I was taking vitamin-wise, they were like, oh, we have medicine for that. And I'm just really not ready to substitute things that I know are working well and keeping me driving and keeping me digesting and keeping me happy with things that are going to give me other side effects with medicine with other side effects, So sadly, I think that I might have done actually one of them. And for right now, I'm grateful I can continue and have a quality of life that is, that is helpful that way. And I think I just been really trying to be basing life on unconditional living. And I think that that's an easy tag word to talk about, loving someone unconditionally or being unconditional. But seriously, like if you start living that way and just realizing if you feel good, if you feel bad, if, things are not what you expected or they are, just trying to remain, positive and helpful and happy. It's tough, but it's like a choice,
Yeah.
Understood. Serena, in regards to, you've met so many ladies over the last few months. Obviously there have ovarian cancer. Are the majority of them getting help with it, or what sort of different types of stories did you hear over the last few months from different individuals who have ovarian cancer?
Yeah, I met one lady at the Central Maryland chapter race, and I loved it. She was like, "Don't you love my hair?" And she took her hat off, and she lost all her hair. And she said she had a reoccurrence. She was in her 70s, actually.
Wow.
And we're talking, if you're a survivor, they give you this beautiful teal sash to wear, and she rocked that 5K. Okay, wow. She said, yeah, I told my doctor I'm going to push my chemo till next week because I really wanted to be here.
Nice.
To do this 5K. And she was just such an inspiration to me. We talked for a good long while. And like Tara, she said, I keep a smile on my face. I pray, I meditate, I move. And she said, movement is so imperative if you can do it. Because some, like my mom, could not move. But if you have that gift, movement of your joints, whether it's a mindful movement like yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, so those are the type of women I've met. Some women who are still, in treatment, some who are in remission. They've been, in remission for a few months, a year, a couple of years. I've met one who's been in remission for, she says she's done. She hasn't had a reoccurrence in over a decade. So you just don't know what stories you're going to hear. You meet people, like the young lady I met who was only in her 20s and said she already been diagnosed, and luckily it was like a stage 2, I think it was A or B. But she was only in her 20s, and she said, I've already dealt with ovarian cancer, and I'm not even 30 years old yet. But she was out there and doing that race, and talking to other people. So that's what really helps keep each other lifted. Whether you're a caregiver, you've gone through cancer treatments, is just talking and sharing stories and just being prayerful for each other. You meet new people and you keep in touch with them, and you say, I don't just say I'm going to pray for you. I earnestly pray for these women. And of course you meet the spouses or the caregivers who are just dynamic. I was there. Yeah. I didn't feel dynamic when I was caregiving because I was lacking self-care, to the umpteenth degree. But they're out there right along their side, and you also learn who's not in your corner. You hear those stories, and those who bail on you or just can't take you being sick. They can't take your situation, and they leave. And you hear those stories and how these women have still, they're triumphant, and they're like, okay, you're sad and you grieve over that loss, but I'm trying to live life and I'm trying to stay alive. Excellent. I can't stay in grief mode because of these people who don't want to be by my side. So,
I guess over the last few months too, or over the last little while, do you feel the medical community, is stepping up their game when it comes to ovarian cancer?
I could say yes, and I know that with cancer treatment centers, it's been beautiful watching them share what they call best practice. So there are certain things that help. They've been talking about green tea, instead of caffeinated coffee or something. I know for me with Doxil, when I actually get the infusion, they wrap my wrists and my ankles with ice because a lot of issues with fingers and toes are prevalent when you have this chemo. And that's, spread throughout the hospital, that it helps people to have less side effects. So I feel like, but that's with the participation of the patients who are really intent on reporting back what tends to be helping them and wanting to take a more active part in their treatment also. So requiring things like, give me what I can do eating wise that'll help me to not vomit or have bad diarrhea or, whatever. We're talking about products that are helpful for hair loss, or I was checking mine out because today it looks pretty dark, and I'm going super gray though for a while.
Tara, don't worry, you're way ahead of me, so don't worry, Tara. You're way ahead of me.
I didn't have hair for a while, and I am rocking like a mohawk kind of thing now. So yeah, it's pretty fun. But I think just keeping active role and having a feedback. One of the other trials that I just did was just languaging around the LGBT community and the feedback that you're giving people around your cancer diagnosis and treatment. And I think things like, are you sleeping on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you working on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you vomiting? Are you there's those sorts of questions, but there's actually people that care about the answers, because within that becomes, if you're not, what are you doing to help it? On the days that you feel good, what does it look like for you? And there's a lot of generative work around not websites necessarily, but apps. So Cancer Life is one that's doing an amazing job, that they're actually looking at what helps. And it's almost like content given by people who are cancer in treatment, survivors or caregivers that are on a day-to-day basis seeing what helps and then reporting about it. Because these are the things that are feeding other people and getting conversations going. So it's not about people coming together necessarily to be in a complaining mode or, like feeling sorry for one another, as much as it is what helped you and what's getting you through and what does a day look like you said, and trying to garner from that helpful things that work, that are not, an ICD-9 code, or not, sponsored by fill in the blank drug companies, because that's also helpful and just as valid, but no one's sponsoring those types of clinical trials. They're not making anybody else money, but they're helping us stay with a good quality of life, and that matters, Yeah.
Interesting. We're broadcasting live on November 6th, and we're coming up to American midterm elections. I don't want to get too political here, but I do want to ask, in regards to one of the major issues with this upcoming midterms is healthcare. Mm-hmm. And both of you can probably give your take on this conversation piece. Is it getting any cheaper to deal with this? Because, of course, medical technology is always advancing, but is it making this more attainable cost-wise for those who are going through it and their families and friends?
I think it depends. I know, for example, every year I get a pelvic and rectal exam in my annual, GYN exam. But I also get a transvaginal ultrasound, so they can look at my ovaries. And yes, uncomfortable, but hey, 15 minutes of your life won't kill you to look at your ovaries. So every year, since my mom has passed, I get this ultrasound, no problem. Insurance pays for it 100%. I switched insurance companies this year because of my old, it's a new job.
Right.
And I won't say the insurance company, but they denied to cover it.
Why?
So I got a bill in the mail, and they didn't cover a dime.
Hold on. Hold on. What was the reason that obviously you pressed them? Why did they not cover it?
Yeah, I said, well, my mom had ovarian cancer. There's a direct correlation. And they went on to say, well, we really like to see if you have the gene mutations. We like to take it a step further before we cover things like this. He called it things like this. And I said, okay, well, the other insurance company I have every year, spot on, they would cover it 100%, and that's it. So now I have a medical bill sitting on my kitchen table that I have not paid because I'm trying to appeal it, because they don't consider, they said, well, you're high risk if you've been, their definition of high risk is not correct. They're like, if you're diagnosed, maybe you have like stage 1 or 2, then we would have covered it. I said, well, I'm trying to do preventative measures as much as I can so we don't have to face this, but yeah, they're still fighting me. This was back in May. I did this ultrasound, and here we are in November, and they still won't cover it.
Wow. Tara, what do you have to say about the costs?
So I have lots to say. I know that recently I went on to Medicare and a secondary. So there's Medicare, which is hospital based, and then there's medical, that's Part B, and then you're required to do a Part D for prescription and a secondary. And I know that when it came up, because right now is open enrollment again, I am not able to switch or change. And thank God I'm happy with what my choice has been, because I have a pre-existing condition. And this is like the hashtag that everyone is talking about. But I'm literally in that mode, and I'm so grateful that I was under the cuff of, can I change? And I did, and I was able to. But what I've come up against is medical necessity, as well as what you're saying, that there are tons of hoops to go through, and not just that, the cost sharing, your premiums monthly, your deductibles that you're responsible for before they will cover anything, and then your percentages of coverage are all, they're called cost sharing. So now, the premiums that you have are going up. The deductibles that you have that, gosh, back in the day, I can remember being $100 are now minimum around $250, $500, and going up from there. $1,000, $1,500 is average. $10,000 deductibles that you have to pay out before the insurance companies will start reimbursing. And then the percentages that are covered are going down and down and down. So what used to be a $50 office visit, now they look at, $35 as being usual and customary for your area, and you might be responsible for $15, and that's on the low end. But, 20% coverages and 80-20 splits are a thing of the past, A lot more is looking like 60-40, 50-50, where, hundreds of dollar testing, and then you do get a bill. And I've had to apply because I'm not working, as well, just with, some medical necessity programs that look at your income and your condition. And it's intense. And, you have to be really an advocate that way for fair testing, for getting the care that you need. And then, like I said, just even things like eating healthy. I mean, it's expensive, and not even looking at that as a quality of life issue, So medications, when I was on Zejula, the medication literally was, it was close to $20,000. It was like $18,900 a month.
What?
And I would have been responsible for over $900 a month, which was less than what I make, And I had to appeal to the drug company, and I did. Thankfully, I was under their their guidance of, I was able to get the drug with a reduced copayment. Thankfully, because for 1 year that kept me cancer free, and I was not capable of paying the copayment on an $18,000 a month chemotherapy drug. Yeah. But I've ended up with bills from hospitals for sure, based on the percentages that are less and less, and it's a thing,
Yeah.
I think that's really concerning, because it sounds slowly but surely the drug companies are hiking costs and covering less.
Yeah.
And for Serena's case, I mean, that's a prevention right there. So.
Yeah.
You look at that and say, would you prefer me to have late stage because it's denied and there's no way of, finding it for them without these tests that are necessary? It's something's got to give,
Yeah.
So has there, in the ovarian cancer community, lobbying to any sort of extent in regards to this situation?
I don't know the answer to that question.
No, I'm just asking, because from what you've both shared with me, someone has to make some noise.
Okay.
Yeah. I know there was a group that went to Capitol Hill, and, you knock on doors and you talk to your representatives, and, sometimes you feel like you won a victory until, like, Tara says, you get a medical bill or you see the news, and In this political climate, it's just so different. It's just beyond different. But that is a good question to ask a couple of the organizations. Are they going to start lobbying more, especially after November 6th, once we know, butts and seats, who's out, who's in,
Sure.
and who's really, for, affordable, medical costs.
Yeah, because I would just think now is a prime time to bring this issue of costs for this disease to the forefront. No better time. Well, it's a good to bring it to the forefront. Whether it stays at the forefront, that's a whole other conversation piece.
Yeah.
Very
Probably,
true.
Yeah.
With the range of individuals you see going through this, I remember in our first conversation, one of you brought to the point some very young women.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that just still catches me, like women in early, like young women going through this challenge. Are you still seeing that?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
a woman at a conference that was at the Cancer Support Community on Friday. It was a celebration of life, and young woman Brenda, who is literally like 27 and and 4-stage, same as me, ovarian. So and it's crazy when you consider genetics play such a large role, that you can live a well-disciplined, intentional life. You can eat good food, you can exercise, you can keep your stress level down, and you can still have these symptoms in late stage because diagnosis is so difficult to do. And there's not this one central testing that is a catch-all for it. It's not like blood tests yearly will show them. It's not like pap smears will show this. CT scans is the one conclusive test that they've agreed, but that's not happening every year preventatively for people. So yeah, it's out there.
There was a young lady on the news, and she was actually in a show I was watching, and her testimony was that she's still a teenager. I think she's probably about 17 or 18, and she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in her teens.
Oh,
come on. She's now in remission.
In her teens?
Teens. I mean, she's not even out of high school, and she's already had to go through chemotherapy. She lost her hair. And she didn't know what was happening. Like, the symptoms are so vague. And, especially at that stage, you're a teenager, your body's going through so much change.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
As it is. And her mom finally took her to the doctor, like, something is not right. And sure enough, she had ovarian cancer, and she was a teenager. So not even in college. So we're starting to see them younger. Like I told in the last conversation, there's an organization called TO45, by a woman named Christina, and she was diagnosed in her latter 20s. She didn't know she had ovarian cancer until she was about to give birth to her child. And that's when they discovered her state. She was stage 4 by that time. Her son survived. He's a thriving toddler now, and she's doing fantastic. But she said she was only in her 20s, so she's trying to raise awareness for women who are under 45. It can happen. I don't say there's no age limit, but it could be from your teens all the way into like your 80s. Could be diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
So is it with ovarian cancer, are more women dealing with it, or is it because of communication, social media, we're finding out about it more, in your opinion?
I think more people are about self-care, and they're speaking up because they're advocating for themselves when they don't feel well, or things that are cropping up that they know aren't normal. If I gave you $1 for every time I heard a woman say, that she was having issues with bad, periods, or having cysts, and the doctors weren't taking her seriously, they sent them home. They knew there was a problem. They keep going back, like multiple visits, they're not listening. Like, I think we're getting better at the languaging of our bodies and realizing, like, we've been with ourselves for as long as we've been alive, and something's not right. I know there's something wrong. And I think it's the insistence of the women that is bringing it more to like keeping the doctors accountable for a diagnosis and finding something that is wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Serena?
Yeah, I know. I know back when my mom was sick, I didn't really see it a lot. Maybe I wasn't looking for it on social media because I was going through the battle, but I'm seeing it more. More advocacy, definitely.
Good.
I think advocacy's always been there, but women are, Tara said, we're finding our voices and we're advocating for our health. We're not letting doctors brush us off like they used to. And this is not just with ovarian. There's so many other GYN cancers. You have cervical, uterine, vulvar. Women have endometriosis. It turns into cancer. And a lot of times doctors, well, not a lot, but some doctors will brush you off. And it's about advocating for yourself. You know, if you don't like what one doctor says, there's many others out there. There's a lot of other practitioners that will listen to you, but it's just finding that particular doctor. And sometimes that's a challenge in itself.
Okay,
you know,
you bring up a very good point between both of you. If someone is going through this, what questions should they ask their doctor before they say, okay, I want you as my doctor?
That's a great question. Holy smokes, absolutely. You know, I think that the idea of clinical trials is fantastic, and some of the doctors don't necessarily have them active in their hospitals that they're practicing. So somewhere being able to navigate, like I was saying, around the languaging of what you have diagnosis-wise, to be able to be empowered to do those types of things and look for yourself. But I think the outcomes are important, but percentages you can't get caught up in. You want to know that what you're going to be doing with this doctor, they have a vested interest that you will get well, and you have to come away with a feeling of empowerment that you're a team that will do this together. And, you know, caring for side effects that come up and having really good knowledge about what expectations to have so you can be prepared is 100% where that cost sharing comes into place, because right now there's a critical problem with the amount of emergency room visits. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there are cards now that I've seen that are for one-on-one virtual visits with a doctor, that you don't have to go to an emergency room now. So they're trying to move away from physical visits, but also empower you that if you have vomiting up to a certain level, this is the things you can do about it. And it's important for you to know that you have a care management team you can count on, numbers that you can call when you're nervous or anxious, so that it saves you from undue medical attention at an emergency room, you know? So I think that's good as far as the length of time that you can expect to treat, as far as things that are really meaningful. You know, will I be sleeping? Can I work? Can I drive? You know, my family, like, are there places they can take me that will help, or are there other things I can do, you know, that will help with this? And then just even expectations for me, I know with a new chemo, you know, I had to ask them and others, you know, about the whole situation with, you know, wrapping my hands and feet and with ice. I mean, that's something that really does help. And this pelvic floor therapy is not something that I found out through my hospital. I found it out through others that talked about it. And those types of conversations, when I mentioned it to my, you know, doctor, they were like, oh, we offer that here. Thank you. Like, I want it. Get me in. You know what I mean? I just recently saw a speech pathologist at my hospital who helped me with mouth sores. And I have this whole regimen now that is awesome. That's helping me like you wouldn't even believe. So I think, like, once again, advocating for yourself where you can fill in the gaps of, you know, all the aspects of care, you know, sleeping, eating, working, praying, working out, you know, all of those quality of life things and how this fits in. So just making sure you can check off those boxes and have resources that will keep you from freaking out, you know?
Yeah.
Serena, what would you add to that?
I know definitely with doctors, the first question I ask now is, do you have a patient-centered environment? Am I going to be in the center of this? Is this going to be a prescriptive thing where you're just going to tell me everything to do and not let me get a word in? Are you going to listen to me? Do you know how to active listen? That's a skill that, some people don't have. And also, as Tara said, who's on your team that can help me? Do you have a nutritionist on site? If not, can you refer me out to one? Do you have a chiropractor? And in my case, I love, naturopathic doctors, holistic doctors. Are you in tune with those? Are you in touch with those? So you kind of get, a grasp of the doctor, and especially after 10 or 15 minutes talking to them, you can tell if they're really about you or if they're just very prescriptive, very, okay, do this and I'll see you in 2 weeks. And that's it. You've paid now how much for your copay to talk to them for maybe 20 minutes if that. So, and that was, when my mom was sick, we learned which hospital was best. And it's funny because the hospital that we thought would have given her the best treatment because of their ratings, their stars on websites, was not the best for her. They were all about, oh, your mom will be fine. We'll see her in a few hours when we do our next rotation. She was in a lot of pain, a lot of great pain, not listening to her and just trying to shove drugs down her throat. So we had her moved to another hospital that was about her, and they listened to her. And that's what is important, is making sure the doctor and the team is going to listen to you.
Wonderful. Well, ladies, I think we've had another epic conversation.
Yes,
two for two. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know that I'm speaking that you're going to come back before the end of the year if you have time.
I would love that.
And maybe, and I'm going to give you some homework. We'd like to have you come back and do a year in review in regards to ovarian cancer.
Oh,
so
great.
I know if you could do a little research and sort of give us a little review of what's happened over 2018, when it not only personally but just events, and also reach out if there's some people out there that you think would also want to come on or just highlight some of their great achievements. I'd love you. I'm going to give you some homework to do because I'd like to do a year in review on that.
Professor Vibe, okay.
Yeah, I don't have a hat. I have a teal book, but I don't have a hat.
I might have to send you one since I've been so creative and crafty. So,
hey,
so
I'd love one.
Okay.
I'd love a professor. If you can send it to me, I will wear it for that broadcast. Deal?
Okay.
I'll wear it for that conversation. If you send it, awesome. Mark my words, it's a done deal.
My sister's coming to visit from Montreal, so yeah, I have a Canada connection later this month. So yes,
there we go. Good stuff. Oh. As always, I'd like to say thank you. But before we let you go, contact information. Tara first.
Actually, it's just an email, freedomgphotography@gmail.com if people have questions or would love to talk. I am an advocate. I am about that life. I'm at Cancer Treatment Centers as a cancer fighter. Actually, there's on the splash page for Cancer Treatment Centers is my whole story right now, which is really exciting.
Congratulations.
And I have 2 interviews coming up with the Global Cancer Treatment Centers of America network for faith ministry.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I'm on Facebook at Tara Lessard, and I'm on Instagram at FreedomGPHO, at FreedomGPHO.
Tara doing big things. Go, Tara. Go, Tara. And Serena, I know you're not behind. You're right with her. So give your contact information.
Sure. I have a website, Serena Wills, all one word, serenawills.com. And there you can find my books, my publications. I've been in the magazine. I don't know if they have it in Canada, but in the United States, it's called Natural Awakening.
Okay.
And I've been in the New York edition. I've been in the DC edition. Goes out to thousands of people. So folks can see a variety of my publications on there. I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/Serena Wills. I'm also on Twitter. And YouTube, Divine Right, and Right is spelled WRYTE. And I'm also on a website called Goodreads. It's for published authors.
Excuse me.
Yes. And by the end of the year,
oh gosh,
health and wellness coaching website up.
Wow.
Work. So look out for that. It's coming.
Wonderful.
Yep.
That is fantastic. So as you realize, ladies and gentlemen, watching this live or on the replay, I will have to get their autographs before they get too big for me.
You have mine in the book.
That's true. I do have it. I do have it. That is, I am corrected. That is fantastic, ladies. Wow. I'm excited for both of you.
Thank you. Same here.
Okay, Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations. If you want to watch replays of epic conversations like this one, please go to YouTube and put in the search engine, _VIB SHOW. If you want to listen to audio replays of my epic conversations, you can go to a number of places. The best place to go to is thedrvibeshow.com. There's also Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio. Serena's going, when is this going to stop? And then you can hear selected audio replays at thegoodmenproject.com and WJMS Radio out of New York, and a new syndication partner, Mile High Radio out of Denver, Colorado. We'll be replaying Dr. Vibe Epic Conversations, I believe, Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, starting this coming Saturday, which is the 3rd.
Thank you for everything you do. You're equally as unbelievably busy and productive, and just so grateful. You do amazing work. Thank you.
I don't like the word busy. I like positive productive. So I'll receive the productive word. Also, brand ambassador for the only online magazine dedicated to African Americans in food, wine, and travel. The name of the magazine is Cuisine Noir Magazine. The website address is cuisinenoirmag.com. Certified empowerment coach, president and CEO of Express Your Vibe Coaching and Communications. If you want to touch base and have a complimentary session, go to my website, go to the top of my website, click on Contact the Dr. Vibe Show. You can send me an email or an audio message from there. You can touch base with me via Twitter at DRVIBESHOW, or you can email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. What else? Yes, if you are a business and entrepreneur and you want to get media promotion, I run a service called Getting Media Coverage, where I help businesses and entrepreneurs get media coverage so they can elevate their business, product, or service. Now, what should I do? Should I sign off, or should I just drop what you guys wanted me to share with you?
Oh, yes. We want to hear what you have to share.
Okay.
That's right. Sharing is caring.
So what I'm going to do is I'll give my normal sign off, and then I'll drop it right at the end. So live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Also, sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, and then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Forgot one thing before the big thing. I am going to be the master of ceremonies for the Men and Women Summit on Masculinity on November 17th and 18th with guest speaker Warren Farrell. And if you want some more information on that, website is menandmasculinity.com. Okay, finally, this is it. On November 9th, don't behave yourself. On November 9th, Dr. Vibe is going to be receiving an award for innovation at the 40th annual Canadian Ethnic Media Awards.
Wow.
That's huge.
So, quick story behind this, and I'm going to do a separate broadcast on it. I was suggested by a friend to put in a submission in the podcasting category. When they called me back, they said, with your depth and breadth of importance of work, we would like to give you the award. Would like to give you the award for innovation.
Wow.
So, on November 9th, I will be receiving that award, and it was for a podcast on Black masculinity, but they are now giving me it for innovation. I'd read what the innovation thing is, but I'll say that for my own broadcast. I don't want to shake your trees, so we're going to leave it at that.
Exciting. That's so
next week.
Yes,
That's
that is next week, a week from tomorrow. If you're watching this live, it's a week from tomorrow on Friday. And then the weekend after that, I'm hosting the Men of Masculinity Conference. And then before the end of this month, I've been asked to appear on a program on Sirius XM.
Wow.
Your autograph?
No, I got yours first. You beat me.
Before you blow up.
No, I'm just a guy. And one other thing, quick little thing, I'm also producing a Women of Color Gen X live audio broadcast every Sunday night at 7 p.m. called All Our Own, with ladies from Canada and the United States. The two ladies from the United States, one's African American, another one's Dominican American, and the lady from Canada is African Canadian. So check that out.
Oh, that's amazing! I would love to share that for sure. I have so many women that would be all about that. So.
I will send you the link. The first conversation was 2 weeks ago about why is there a need for a Women of Color Gen X show, and a conversation. And the second week they talked about women of color in the workplace, and they also had a special guest, a lady who has a PhD, talking about that. So I will share that information with both of you, and if you ever want to get on, I will certainly get the ladies to have you come on and add some perspective in regards to that.
So exciting. Oh my gosh, congrats. That's hugely intentional and so beautiful, so necessary.
Well, they asked me, and I said, that's what we're going long here, but that's what I do with people. Is I say, I've created a space, fill it up.
Yeah. You're killing it, Dr. Bob.
No, I'm doing what I'm supposed to.
Yeah. You can tell you love it. You're very, very, you radiate all this generative stuff. It's amazing.
Well, you know what? I need help. That's why I help people.
Same.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we kept you on too long, but hey, we're having some fun, and we hope you have too. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.